What happened?
I forgot to pop in the channel that we
Oh.
Boop. I can do it now, and then you'll watch me do it live as we're live. Liveception.
Live set. I was
just gonna say.
So I need to ask a really quick controversial question to kick off the episode.
Ooh,
Yeah.
go for it.
How do you like your fries?
Like,
Oh.
you mean like just fried, like potato?
Like, what do you put on them? Like, say you got some fries, yeah. Like, this you got fries. Do you like them
really
without salt?
depends.
Just like
It
plain with
depends.
salt? Do you want like some seasoning salt? Maybe you put ketchup. You're doing some freaky shit like dipping in barbecue sauce. Like, what's your fry profile?
Oh man.
Pretty chaotic.
Mine. So like my fries have to have salt.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer like unless I'm having like cheese fries, and I don't like that icky cheese whiz, like the one that tastes like
Yeah,
water.
fuck that shit. Fuck that shit.
I like that stuff that
I need
like
some real grated ass cheese on my fries if I'm putting fucking cheese on my fries.
too, but there's this other kind of cheese sauce that I know we use here in Philly that tastes like it just tastes like I don't know I don't know what it is, but it's really good. But it's not like the watery, icky one. It's like it dry, it like when it gets cold, it hardens. You know, it doesn't just make the fries mushy. And I hate mushy fries. I prefer I love the the
Good.
crunchy
We agree.
outside, nice soft inside.
Mushy fries are the death of me. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah,
but I do like. Yeah, but I do like all kinds of fries. Like I love curly fries, but I really like Old Bay curly fries. I could eat Old Bay curly fries for forever.
Or like the crinkle fries.
I
they don't make sense, but crinkle fries, they got a good texture for my autism, you know? I like how crispy the shoestrings are, those little fuckers. They're like shoving them in my mouth. Yeah. Or like the really thin ones if they're done well and they're actually like deep fried properly. It's like, you little pricks, how are you so good? You know,
you're gonna make
I like all
fries.
shapes of fries. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just the fry episode. I like all shapes of fries, but I like it with just salt on it because I'm like I wouldn't call myself a purist because I don't look it down on anybody else who has it, but I'm like the autism special. I like the different flavors of fries. To me, are the different shapes. So curly is a different flavor than crinkle cut is, right?
They all taste
but also I do also like some spicy fries too. Like there's this like McCain's spicy curly fries. I fuck with, right? It's like you can if you put your seasoning on your fries and it's good, like yeah, absolutely. But if I'm like buying over the counter like seasoning salt, that shit never does it for some reason. It's always bad for whatever reason. But if the fries come like pre-seasoned or flavored, it's like fucking go. I will take that garlic herb fucking French fries and just cram that down my gullet. Thank you, baby. Go ahead.
So I guess we're all getting fries after this. I'm just gonna go out. And
sorry for imparting you all with the curse of the fry, but somebody asked me right before the episode, how do you prefer your fries? And I was like, fuck, that's such an existential question. I have to ask it, right?
A lot of
in general, you can't trust anyone who doesn't like French fries.
Unless they're allergic to nightshades, which we have hand over heart for our allergic cousins. But everybody else, if you don't like them and you aren't allergic to them, you're fucking sus, okay? You're fucking sus.
It's potatoes. You need them mashed. You need them fried, French fried.
Thank you. I was like, you know the TikTok sound. I'm thinking of Scott.
Listen, there's nothing worse than lumpy mashed potatoes. But if you're pureeing that shit and you got like the butter and just like a little bit of sour cream in there, you like, whip it up with the fucking salt. It's like, God, fuck me.
Okay, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I do like rustic mashed potatoes. I
like all kinds of mashed potatoes as long as they're not chunky. Like, fuck me up.
It's technically rustic. Rustic has like little pieces.
Oh God! How dare you? That's sacrilege.
I don't hate it.
I don't want to chew my mashed potatoes. I want to savor the fucking ice cream like texture while having the savory goodness of mashed potatoes.
You have to understand, I'm you know, an honorary fat kid, so like
it's okay. I used to be a fat kid too.
I'll eat it.
Yeah,
I used to be a fat kid too. You should see high school photos of me. I'll tell you this though.
I'm
If
still.
you ain't had volcano mashed potatoes, you haven't lived your fucking life. Just said that, walking away from the mic now.
Well, I guess
My
that's it,
favorite-
everyone. Potato episode.
My favorite
How
are
do you-
waffle fries.
We all
Oh.
we all know what volcano mashed potatoes are, right?
Well, yeah, when you put
When you make the little volcano of it, and you either
Yeah.
put like the gravy or the melted butter, your pick in the middle. I'm a butter girly.
Yeah, I don't really do gravy. It's just
Fuck
extra
me up.
salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
I
mind the
never
Taurus just drooling over here.
potatoes.
A potato.
I used to really fucking hate potatoes. They're growing on me more. Like
Same.
fries used to be the only thing I really could eat potato wise, but
You know what's
other kinds of potatoes.
You know what's
started growing on
another
me.
great potato delivery mechanism? Pierogies.
There's a pierogi place right by our office. We've been meaning
I want
to
to go
check
there
out.
on Tuesday. I want pierogies.
Okay.
I love pierogies. Oh, they're so good.
It's like that
Okay.
Lady Gaga song, Sex Dreams, except we're having starch dreams right now.
I mean, that's really what Thanksgiving dinner is. It's like everyone talks about the turkey, but really the focus is the sides, which are all carbohydrates. They're all carbs.
It's funny because there was
Let's be real. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying there was this this guy on TikTok who was having a Friendsgiving, and he was like, essentially because it's Friendsgiving, we get to have like 6 different carbs. I was like, oh god.
Yeah. Scott, what did you do for Thanksgiving? Was it drama filled or
I
was it
stayed
just
home. It was like,
good?
what you call it?
Oh.
Mom and I, we cooked. Well, mom mostly cooked, but
Yeah.
I also cooked, but she did like the majority of it.
You're a sous
But
chef.
what you call it? And it was really, really nice and super relaxing. And yeah, like I love that we've finally come to that point now where we're like, we're just gonna do us. You know what I mean? Like we no longer have to do I mean, Thanksgiving was never the problem. It really was always Christmas Eve that was the issue here, but yeah, it's really nice to just have us and be home and not have to be I don't like driving anywhere and doing anything, we just get to be home. We cook, we
One
clean.
of the tragedy of those holidays is like how much pressure we put on ourselves to do all these things. It is like a power of reclamation thing to like take it easy. You know what I mean?
Like it's a holiday, you're meant to rest. It's a day of rest. It's supposed to be.
So it was really nice and like it was fun. My mom was just saying last night to her friend on the phone, she was like, we cooked. We like because I cooked the night before, and my mom cooked kind of like early all day. And we pretty much like we set the table in like 10 minutes. We ate in like 25, and then like right after that, everyone like we all just we did our own thing. Like
literally,
it wasn't a big to do.
Kai is here in the chat. Hello, Kai. Did anyone go into a food coma? No food coma for me.
Because I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. Like here's the thing, my family will make a feast if I'm with my family. And my family's all the way across the country, and that's the extent that they celebrate it. They make their food because it's a chance to make food and it's a statutory holiday, right? That's it. They don't really
all it is
celebrate
for us
anything.
Too.
They can call it Turkey Day for all they care. It's not the colonizer ass holiday. Outside of that, I don't ever celebrate it, and I often, outside of like really, I almost want to call it Saturnian, but it's much more aligned with Jupiter, with how our society treats it. Jupiterian holidays like Christmas. I don't really observe them. Like I observe like Christmas and Halloween because they're so big you can't not, right? And Halloween's for the gays anyways, so I'll be damned if I don't celebrate that. I'll be fucking. I'm 92 years old and I'm in a wheelchair and I have one leg missing, I will be celebrating Halloween, 92 years old, in a wheelchair at Halloween with one leg missing in a costume, you know?
The way God intended.
Even if it's a fucking mask or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Have a spooky onesie or some shit. It'll be Halloween themed, god damn it, and I will fucking die on this hill. I observe Easter insofar as I purchase cheap Easter candy when it's after Easter,
Yeah.
and it's all on deal. Fuck, beyond that, pal, I guess there's also cheap Valentine candy day as well, post Valentine's Day. So that's a good day. I like the cheap candy holidays. You know, after the days when the holidays are done and you don't pay a bunch of money for a bunch of bullshit, and then you swoop in like some kind of fucking societal dredge scavenger and you hover up your like affordable candy which you like use in lieu of like actual food sustenance because your government isn't fucking doing anything to make your society better and everybody's fucking starving because of the cost of food and people are getting malnourished and a friend of yours gets fucking scurvy because they aren't getting enough vegetables and it's fucking like we're like living on candy and shit here after like fucking Halloween shit.
It just reminds me of there's that show Solar Opposites. I think it's from the same people who do Rick and Morty, and they're about a bunch of aliens that come. It's kind of like Rick and Morty meets Third Rock from the Sun, but like an animated version. And so like, it's like there's this family, and the kids have they have like a shrink ray, and they shrink people, and they stick them in the wall in their bedroom. And it's like this wall. And it's like this whole society of humans that are living in this post-apocalyptic thing in the wall. And the kids, they don't know what humans eat, so they just feed them candy in through like a slot in the wall. And like everyone in there has like diabetes, and like it's like an ongoing saga of like life in the wall. That's what it reminds me of. What you were talking about.
Lord,
life in the wall.
I mean, we get other stuff like damaged goods. We buy all the damaged goods up real quick, you know.
Nothing wrong with scratch and dent.
Sometimes we intentionally damage goods, and then ask an employee if they could remark it because the sticker fell off. And it's clearly damaged, and then they give you the 30% off. Don't tell anyone I told you that.
Told you what?
Oh man,
it reminds me of that scene in like the Adam Sandler movie. I think it's like Big Daddy, and he's like, "Damaged goods, X amount off," and they're like throwing the cans down and denting them.
I remember that scene where he was just throwing the cans off the shelf onto the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a viable way of saving money.
I hate to go off, but I am curious. I was just thinking about something, just like popped in my head. So I was watching
go off, Queen.
I was watching this like annoying TikTok video. This crazy Christian born again, I don't know, Christian lady. She was talking about like in this sort of Pentecostal that you know, that kind of Christian, you know, they make these strange classifications of spirits. Like they talk about like and I'm curious where they get these things from. Like, you know, she was like they talk about the Pythian spirit, and you know, there was like this she was discussing like these spirits that personify like in this sort of Pentecostal Christianity, these spirits personify things that we experience, and they're demons. You know, like they say like mental illness is a particular kind of demon, and lustfulness is a certain kind of demon. And you know, it's so strange to me because she was talking about she was specifically talking about home decor and going to like
because that
certain
relates
places and
to
like you
demons?
bring in she listened. She was talking about how when you go to like these like home goods stores and they have like all these decorations that are like spiders and snakes and octopuses,
they're
and
demons.
how like and yeah, and she's like, you're bringing them into your home.
LOL.
And
okay.
you know, and it's so bizarre because like I'm kind of like you're like a part of me is like you're aiming, like you're trying to get to animism, but like you're missing way off somehow. Like you're like,
Yeah.
I want to
So
get there, but it's like I'm so deluded. I'm
I have a
missing
whole
it.
fucking rant about this. If you notice, the psychology of those people is extremely similar to somebody who's just getting into Magic, and everything that they're running off of is personal narrative and UPG, because they're basically just like doing that thing where they've just broken out of the box and they're like, anything's possible. So they're connecting any dots and just plugging every like wires into things to see what sparks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is before like somebody's really learned their world shit, right? And like their craft. And you see with a lot of magicians, you know, that
Yeah, but
the
this isn't a magician. Like this
everything
isn't.
phase.
This
I
isn't a
know,
magician though.
but it's just, but humans are humans, right? And our psychology applies across like large swaths of how we approach it, right? The human desire to like fantasize or dramatize plays
Oh yeah.
into both like the UPG and also that as well, right? So you don't have to be doing like magic to have it really cut 1-to-1. It's a human psychology thing, more or less.
Yeah.
Seems like
Yeah.
the Christians create more demons than the witches do.
I mean, they're just it's like as people in servers they used to be, they would call it schizo posting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like somebody's fucking unfiltered shower thoughts, you know.
But I also think about this too, right? So people that follow a very, I guess, sort of fearful, like fear-based religious worldview, right? You know, so if you, I don't know, you bought the person a spider decoration or something, not knowing, right? And it's in their home and this and that, and they see it, like they can start to manifest those things. You know what I mean? Like if you are fearful enough of the thing, not saying that you will create a demon necessarily per se, but you can create an entity, some sort of thing.
You're actually absolutely correct. So I hardcore believe in a model of magic that I was talking about last time that we're working on writing. It's the consciousness model, right? And magic's intrinsic to anything that's conscious, right? It can do magic in its own way, right? And one thing that we're really good about doing as a species is believing something into happening. So you're absolutely right. Your fear and your constant worrying can actually cause something into happening, which is a fucking nightmare for people who are super anxious, right? Which is why like magic really asks you to know yourself and get your shit together if you're going to be doing it, because you don't want to be accidentally manifesting bad things because you're anxious and you can't stop focusing on it, right? And there's like absolutely strategies and things that you can do in magic to work your way around that, right? And like a lot of practice magicians absolutely don't have to worry about that or have their own ways to mitigate it, right? But like, yeah, so like if somebody who's not into magic is really focusing on something that they don't believe in, they can cause it to happen just the same way that we can cause it to happen by focusing on it deliberately and thinking about it happening, right? Because the only thing that's different there is they don't have a lust of result, right? Which
but I see
kind of makes it easier for them.
But I see what Scott was saying, how it's like you're almost at animism, right? Like this person was like like you're almost there, you almost got the concept, but like it just seems that once you get into the idea of anything, like an inanimate object can have a spirit in it, it's like people seem to default to spirit equals bad, not just spirit equals neutral. Like a spirit is a spirit, not like it's bad or good, it's just it is, you know.
I think the
a lot of
problem
people go toward bad spirit, you know.
So here's the problem. People, when this is a hard, shitty truth about society, when people interact with something for the first time that they've never actually had any firsthand experience with, they almost always will default to assumptions that are present within their media, right? So that's why racism is so fucking prevalent, because people who actually refuse to go interact with other racial demographics won't realize that a lot of those biases are really fucking harmful and wrong. Same thing for like why people do a lot of stupid things that they do, right? Or like why you hear stories about these people who like get into a war situation, they start acting like they're fucking Rambo and like they're never gonna get shot, and they do like stupid war crime shit, right? Because they see it in fucking movies, right? And like
people think they're Rambo, and no, that's not the case.
That's just one example. There's so many examples of this, though. It's like kind of a universal truth, right? That if you present something and it does become popular and it's like a widely accepted depiction of something, you will naturally default to that unless you are like trained either personally or like through some type of education to know that this is not the case and work to spot that. Or like you'll just kind of like go along with it and think that that's okay. And I'm like, fuck, most people won't even question it to begin with, right? And like some people will kind of come to that conclusion of their own understanding without like somebody teaching them that shit too, right? Like everyone's an individual and your path is your own. I can't speak for everyone's experience, right? But like it's kind of notorious, and if you're not careful, all of the media you consume will be what you use to model yourself after. And if you truly take a deep look at yourself internally right now, there's large aspects of yourself that you have derived from characters or stories or things that you like that you wanted to model within yourself, right? You're like an amalgam of all of these things that you wanted to be, that you've cobbled together and tried to make yourself into, either successfully or with less success, to nobody's judgment. It's just how it works, you know?
Yeah, I've definitely like I've always I talk about it a lot. Like I'm very heavily influenced by all of the media I've consumed and continue to consume. Like I remember when Agatha All Along first dropped, and that wasn't even that long ago, right? So like that first drop, we're all talking about the Witch's Road, right? And I don't know if I should get into spoilers of the show of what the Witch's Road turns out to be. Should I?
I mean,
I don't
it's
give a
been a
fuck,
while.
but I think that's more for the audience and what you want to share
Well,
in the show.
It's been a
To be
while.
honest, it's
been a
I
long
would
enough.
say, what has it been like? Spoiler territory is technically like more or less than 6 months. Like, has it been 6 months since it dropped?
Oh no,
Seems
October,
like a long time. 6
November,
months is a
December.
lifetime.
Yeah, no, I would avoid spoilers just for those who
Well,
haven't
anyway,
watched
watch
yet.
the show.
Okay.
It's actually kind of cool. I recommend it, but I really recommend you watch it. But like, the point is Agatha All Along drops, right? Everyone's talking about the Witch's Road, and this is the road that we travel, and this is what we do, and this, that, and a third, and then we'll watch the show. So like it's kind of funny like to see what we latch onto. But even I still like even though I watched Agatha all to completion, I still think about the idea of the Witch's Road though, because it is a path that we travel. We always talk about, taking the left-hand path, the right-hand path, the whatever, or the crooked path, So if, these things
The dick
have
sucking path.
that path,
Yeah.
that weird unmarked trail that is totally sketchy, you probably shouldn't go there path. So like that
Yes,
is
the
the
Pharaoh
Witch's
Goblin.
Road. But it's just one of those things that like our media is a reflection of us, and also vice versa. You know what I mean? Like it's just this constant reflection kind of thing, because these thoughts are created in the astral. And then when we create media, it's basically taking astral concepts and making them material as much as we can. So
maybe. I
yeah.
mean, with hardcore theory like that, it could absolutely be true. I don't know, but I can't say for sure it is one way or another.
Like I think about like if you say Thor, right? Like some people, like a lot of people will probably default to Chris Hemsworth in the Thor costume, right? Like if you say the word Thor, like that's the image that will often pop into a lot of people's heads, because Thor, as we know it, is Chris Hemsworth in like the Marvel movies for a lot of us. Now, for people who are in this more occult subculture, yeah, we're not gonna automatically default to Chris Hemsworth as Thor, but we may, So I don't know. I just think that stuff is always kind of fun to play around with. I remember like when we were losing our shit when Sabrina dropped. Like there's real magic in those shows, and you can pull that shit right out of
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, and that we definitely know that because I've said before, like there were people on the writing team, not just
Mhm.
like they weren't just brought on as like help us make this
Sound witchy.
close but not whatever. But
Yeah.
there was actually like practitioners on the writing team for the show. But no, totally. I think that we've my position on like the unconscious mind and the other world are the same place and all that. And I could see totally that what is conceived of in the imagination, you know, will certainly begin to affect us. I mean, from on a psychological level, we know, with industrial psychology, for instance, where they get people to purchase or become interested in something through PR and like billboards and then that kind of thing, right? Commercials.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do. I think that the creative mind and whatnot is it's all one place. I mean, if you look at what the there's a lot of Celtic um philosophy around like inspiration and being inspired. A lot of like artists, musicians. There was a lot of connection between like making a pact with a spirit or a fairy,
Mm.
or being inspired by a muse, and these things run throughout a lot of at least European, not just Celtic, I should say, um, European mythology and stories. So yeah, I think that the creative mind is certainly a very powerful place. I mean, and we use it, right? I mean,
Mhm.
in Magic when we're visualizing the outcome of our spells, and we have to attempt to solidify it as much as possible. For those of us who can do that, some of us have what is that? Aphantasia, I believe, is when they don't have a mind's eye.
You have no mind's eye, but you can still visualize even with it, honestly. It's different.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always thought that I had trouble meditating, and I always thought that I had trouble visualizing, but it turns out I don't have any trouble with that. I just do it really, really well. That I just fire between and this scene and this scene and this scene, like at like rapid fire almost. So like my thing is like I can visualize, but I need to hone in on a visualization.
Hmm.
Like I need to like maintain it, kind of thing, because it starts to
Mm-hmm.
like, I can quickly. I also have that issue of like, all right, trying to meditate, and then I hear crash, bang, boom, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck was that? Oh, the cats decide to, have, a party, and
Yeah.
so like that shit happens to me all the time, and that's what's hard for me to. It's just redoing that focus kind of thing. But yeah, when it
So
comes to
you know what?
visualization, I'm always good at that.
You know what? This is gonna sound a little elitist, but I don't want it to, and I'm just gonna be very clear about this. You know what separates the average practitioner from the excellent practitioner?
Hmm.
It's not a lot, actually. It's just a little bit of semi-regular practice. Doesn't even have to be daily. Daily practice gets a little the big problem about forcing yourself to do something every day, because it's one thing if you're doing it for like a 40-day period. Cool, do that. Like challenge yourself, right? But if you're doing something indefinitely every single day, if it's not a very small practice, it can really start to weigh on you. And like if you break that streak, it feels like you can't get back up on that horse
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I used to have practices that I was doing every single fucking day. And it would like I would have to schedule a lot of time for it in the morning until I hit burnout and I needed to recover and just not do any of that stuff. And then I didn't do it ever, like not ever again. That'd be wrong as fuck. But like I didn't do it nearly as often as I did before. And I still have trouble doing it as much as I used to, right? But that's okay because like sometimes we legit just do burn ourselves out. And that's why I say semi-regular practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be every day. I mean, fuck, it could be like every week or every month. I'm not going to be here to tell you how to do your craft. That is not my job. My job is to just say, hey, get better when you practice stuff. And what do you mean by practice? Like a lot of people assume practice means like sitting down reading a book. That's study. That's different, right? What I mean by
Study
practice
is way
is
different
like
than practice. Yeah.
sitting down and meditating or focusing on visualization. Visualization is one of the most undervalued and underappreciated skills that'll get you probably fucking further than most other things as a magician. It is right up there with like energy working, learning how to talk to spirits, like learning how to visualize shit and learning like what your mind shows you and how to interpret that. It is like probably the first fucking thing that everybody should work on, and everybody should keep up on it because it's useful as fuck, and you'll see things like I'll be playing the new Pokemon trading card game on my phone, and I'll do Wonder Pick,
Oh,
which
you're
takes
playing
like
Pocket?
5 cards. Oh
You
yeah,
should add
give
me
me
on
your
there.
give me your number. I'm level like fucking 24. I have like almost every card in the first set.
Oh yeah, I'm not anywhere near there, but yeah, I've been
I'm a
fucking around with
sweat.
it. It's
I'm
a
a
fun
sweat.
game. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm a sweat. But I use Magick to get my pack draws, and I use Magick to build my decks, and it's extremely effective, right? But yeah, like anybody can do that shit.
I feel like I had a thought that you forgot what
I had thoughts too, but sometimes we lull, we share the space, we enjoy the silence.
about just
daily practice, semi-regular shit.
Daily practice, that's what it was. Your daily practice also, like, this is something that I have struggled with too, because I am not exempt from feeling guilty about random people on the internet. You know, like, every morning I wake up and I live in a cottage in the middle of the woods and I sing to the birds, and then I harvest my herbs under the twilight and skip to my, like, I'm not a witch that lives in the middle of the fucking woods, okay? I am a witch that lives in Philadelphia. And I don't, I'm very fortunate to have a backyard with a patch of grass in it, and I got some squirrels. So, like, my daily practice is, like, I wake up in the morning, I take my coffee grounds out from the day before, I put them in my little compost bucket that I have out back, I put them back there, and then while I'm out there, since I'm already outside, I go into the shed, and then I grab my, food and, like, stuff for the squirrels that are out there, and also the birds. I have like a seed mix and then like peanuts that I leave out for the squirrels, and I put that in my little nature spirits corner. And I just kind of, you're just looking at your yard, you're seeing what's growing, what's dying, what's happening. Like that's also part of daily practice, is being aware. Like,
being fucking present with shit.
Yeah, like, do you hear a different bird? Is there a different bird singing that you haven't heard before? Like, that Merlin app that a lot of people are talking about, very, very good. I really recommend you download it. It's really good for identifying bird calls.
That app is like everything I've ever wanted from like not sponsored, like seriously, but like if you are like us and you like to listen to the birdies and you're never like, oh my god, like what kind of birdie is that? You need to download this app. It's completely free, unlike any other identification app, because it's funded by a university and
Cornell.
It's fucking awesome. Thank you.
You know what I have to say to that? Chirp, chirp, motherfucker.
Yeah, chirp, chirp. Get the Merlin app.
Exactly.
But yeah, a lot of it is just being aware, right? Like, knowing, like you can tell the time of day just by how the sun is positioned in your house, and if you're just aware of that, like, and those are the sorts of things that I'm realizing. I'm like, that is my daily practice. My daily practice is literally being alive, is looking, is being aware, understanding my relationships and interconnections with things around me, and doing magic accordingly to kind of, make my life as, I don't like saying the word easy, right? But like, I don't know, keep my life as smooth as possible, right?
Look at Jay practicing mindfulness.
Yeah. Woo. Look at me.
Very mindful, very demure.
Very demure. But it's something I realized is, like, I really thought that I wanted to, I don't know. I am a little scientific in my approach to magic, but I think I'm realizing that my magic is definitely more, I don't know, I guess spirituality based, because I was kind of leaning away from like the pagan root of it all for me, because really what it is for me is worship the fucking earth, okay? Because it supports us. It's the whole reason why the human race exists, right? So like I think a lot of my spirituality is based in like earth worship, you know what I mean? Like being good to the planet, knowing your place in the interconnectedness of it all, like that kind of thing. And so I think my magic kind of reflects that. It's not so much like as sciencey as it used to be. I'm kind of back to more my earthiness sort of roots as of late, and it's felt more comfortable. Definitely felt more comfortable.
I think like, and I enjoy the sciencey parts of things. I do. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important, but I think that when you go down that route too hard,
Yeah.
a couple things happen. One, you overcomplicate your practice.
Yes.
Um and I think also and I've tried to say this before, and I never really felt like I got it said it in a way that was articulate. But I also think that we can't, as much as we need to be very grounded and realistic, but there is also um, this need to sort of allow this stuff to also be what it is as well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to. Not everything needs to be beaten to death with that sort of with how do I put this? Like, you don't have to beat everything to death with theory and all of
Yeah.
that. Like, sometimes, you just like for I don't know how to put this, but I guess you get what I mean. Like, there are times where, like, when I'm coming home from therapy, where I love the moment when I come up from the subway, uh, closest to my house, and there, I don't know what it is, but like whenever I feel a nice cool breeze over by the subway, when I'm coming home from therapy, there's something so cleansing about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I always just say thank you, like to
Yeah.
like, and I don't know, and I don't even, I'm not even saying anything specifically profound about it, or think of anything particularly profound about it, I should say, but there is something in it that just is, it is what it is. I'm just thanking the wind spirits, like I felt a deep bracing wind and it felt good, and thank you. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to beat it to death with logic. Sometimes it's
No, you
just
didn't like
poetic.
whip out your wand and draw 3 concentric circles on the ground, and
That
now
too.
now I have to praise summon the pentagrams and the this and the that, and just to say thank you. Thanks wind. Like, no, you don't have to do it. You can just be like, thanks wind. Like, that was nice.
In fact, there's more magic in living a close and more intimate relationship with that stuff without needing to put yourself up on airs to be interacting with the elements in some kind of like pseudo important formality. Like, you don't need that, right? Like, if anything, I find the most power in just having a deep relationship that's reciprocal with something,
Yes.
Like, you're giving it some coffee, or you're giving it some tobacco, or you're smoking some weed for it, or like whatever you're doing, but just sticking with it and doing it semi-regular. You are allowed to miss days, and in fact, it's important to know that you should miss days or you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah, there were a couple days. There was actually probably like a week or two block of time that I was like, I'm just gonna throw these coffee grounds in the trash. I just don't have, I was just doing all kinds of other things, and I wasn't going out back and, feeding the squirrels and stuff, and I was kind of off my routine for a bit, and that's because other shit was going on that was kind of really taking my energy and attention, and it was just, it happens. We are humans. We have human levels of energy. We are not gods, and so we do not have infinite energy to do whatever it is that we need to do. Things I need to tell myself and listen to, but I'm trying. I'm working. But yeah, I noticed that I was like, oh, and I was kind of beating myself up, right? That I had missed, feeding the squirrels and whatnot, and I was like, well, then just go feed them. Like, just go out there,
Yeah.
go feed them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I'm back to this now. Like,
We
this is
don't
fine,
we don't live in a post-capitalist society. You know, we have to do all this shit constantly that we don't want to do. That burns us out. And we have to do things in a society that's actively hostile towards us, right? I mean,
Going to the grocery store is hostile.
Getting tired is your body's response. You know, it's what it needs. It's okay. We're not supposed to be machines. We're supposed to be organic beings, and we do our best. And the gods and spirits recognize that and they empathize, because if they're in the flesh themselves, they too know. And if they're not in the flesh, then they know that they don't know, and they have no business fucking judging us.
God, that
And some
conversation. Speaking of
some
that,
gods are in the flesh.
that conversation came back up too. The
What,
conversation
gods
about
living in the flesh?
no, how empathetic are the spirits and gods to
The
the
plights of
plights of
humans.
those who honor, venerate, live in service
Very.
to. And right. I agree. But unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately.
I think a
I
lot
should
of
be,
that
be
is a
careful.
Christian lens. That's kind of like overarching it, because a lot of Christianity is like you are in supplication. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Like you are beneath God. God is above you. You know, you're just supposed to bow and say yes, 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 I worship you. You're like subservient versus like a lot of animistic sort of worldview. It's you're not subservient to anything. You're all connected. You're all in the shit together, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like
And
I think it comes from that Christian sort of like
I see what you mean.
guilt kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was I bite my tongue a lot these days.
I used to
Particularly
worry a
around this
lot
stuff.
about gods and spirits that I was trying to have
Oh.
relationships with, that I would be like, am I doing enough? Like, I don't
Mm.
know. I really hope I fucking am, because I'm about to burn the fuck out.
I've
been there.
I bite my tongue as far as like getting involved in conversations with, if it's not like with you
Yeah.
guys, like otherwise I just kind of stay to myself now. And it's really only because well, not only, there's a couple of reasons, but no, this one particular person, he was just talking about how like the gods don't care about your feelings about the election. They don't care about,
Yeah, they do.
this, that, and the fifth. And I'm kind of like, I don't really know about that. Like, I think that I mean, they might not necessarily. I don't, and it's weird because, like, even in ancient Rome, I've been studying the Roman religion, and like, I know that I know, separation of church and state, and I think that that includes paganism as well. But um,
Yes.
in ancient times, in ancient times, the war priests and the way the gods would have opinions to oracles and things, whether it was listened to or not, I can't say. I'm sure that there's historical whatever for that, but I wonder, I don't know. I feel as if our ancestors thought that the gods and the spirits had opinions. But I also tend to believe that if the world is if the earthly world, the terrestrial world is in turmoil, then so is the ethereal,
Yeah.
right?
It's a reflection.
Right. So I tend to think that they do care about our
Because they have
struggles and
stock
our
in this
turmoil.
game, just like we do, kind of thing.
Right. I think about that. Um, they want us. I also think that
Like the gods
like
are
one
working on a larger scale. When
mhm,
we're supposed to work on the smaller scale, and then we reach out to, hey, give me a hand, whatever. But as long as like you're both doing the same work, it's just the gods are doing it on a scale that we cannot comprehend.
right. Right. And I can't imagine. I used to maybe I used to think that they were a bit colder,
Mm-hmm.
and I would argue that maybe they don't feel the way we feel, in the sense that I don't think, like, if you will, culturally or whatever, structurally, socially, whatever, I don't think spirits and gods, etc., feel this, like, as far as how we interpret feelings. I'd imagine their perceptions would be a lot different.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I've talked before about how fairies definitely don't have the same morality,
No.
right? There's a culture to it, right? Um, if you will. And but I definitely think that they care. You know what I mean? I think certain beings care about us, you know what I mean?
I think
In their
some
way.
beings, yeah, like, but and I do think there are beings that are uncaring. You
Oh,
know,
ambivalent.
I
Oh,
think that,
sure,
yeah,
sure,
that are just
apathetic,
like,
maybe even, yeah.
I don't care either way. I will still exist regardless of what happens. You know, um,
Yeah.
so that's
I
kind of
mean,
what
and
I
of
think
course,
about.
I think that it gets to be like a weird slippery slope sometimes, where maybe people can be a little bit, they kind of, you're like, I sometimes I wonder if like it's appropriate to like, you journal with your gods kind of thing, like where you just go to the altar and it's like, so I went to school today and I went to work and then sometimes I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like, maybe that's not exactly what you do. I don't know, but it definitely wouldn't be what I would do. But I do think that they care. You know what I mean? I definitely think that spirits care about you. You know what I mean?
Of
Because
course they
like
do.
for
Especially
me,
the closer the relationship.
yeah, I wouldn't work with a spirit if I didn't think it cared. Like, I'd be like, well, then don't fucking care. Like, why am I wasting my time?
It's also like I think that's a trauma wound of living in a world where nothing cares about us. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Like, why would a
we're
god care
definitely
about you? Um, because
right. A
it's
lot
their
of
Because it's
job.
easier emotionally to believe that nothing cares about us and it's bleak and we're all doomed, so that you can emotionally give up and resign yourself to whatever happens.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
sort of like a defeatist, I guess, maybe kind of approach.
It's kind of, and this is totally personal. I hope I don't offend anybody on here on the podcast, but that's kind of sometimes how I feel about the people who are like, who don't venerate ancestors, and
Mm.
they're like, well, my ancestors were shitheads, and it's like, yeah, do it anyway. That's my opinion on it. I think that it's like, I guess it's just because I always feel like it's very apathetic, and I am very much not a person who gives in to apathy like that. And I still think that no matter how much you don't agree with what the ancestors have done from any period of time,
They didn't
it's
exist, you
in
wouldn't be around.
right. If they didn't exist, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be here. And the fact is that you not venerating them is less helpful,
If anything, do it for
than
yourself.
actually doing the work. You know what I mean?
Right. So like this sounds really selfish, but if anything, venerate your asshole ancestors for yourself, right? Like throw them a little veneration to boost your own power. If
I mean,
anything,
and
you know.
in the end, it kind of, I find personally that like and obviously just to keep everyone on track, we're specifically now just talking about like spiritual apathy
Mm,
in general. Um, but I find working with spirits that maybe I don't always agree with or
mm.
wouldn't have agreed with in life or what have you, particularly the ancestors. Um, I find it leads to, especially when you maintain boundaries like you do with people, if you're good at maintaining boundaries anyway.
Yes.
Um, I don't take their crap, but they know that I don't. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
like I'm not gonna sit here and you know you can you can be confused about things. Maybe you're like, oh well, I don't understand that thing, whatever. And I'm like, cool, I'll explain it to you. But you're not gonna sit here,
And tell me I
and
can't.
do that whole like feign ignorance thing, where the
Yeah.
people try to um excuse ignorance or
Oh,
bad behavior and like, oh, I
as
didn't,
in, oh,
I'm
I didn't
stupid,
know. Yeah.
right? I'm so dumb, I don't know anything, and it's like you're not doing that. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
Like you get one strike with that. Okay, you didn't know. Now I've educated you. Don't do it again.
right, and it's kind of how I maintain that. I
Yeah.
think practicing folk necromancy for as long as I have, that I grew over time, and then of course the boundary thing was because of therapy. But yeah, I think that having strong boundaries with the ancestors, with any of your spirits, um, I guess I'm more venting about apathetic people and magic. I don't know. There's just something about I don't feel like apathy fits magic too well.
It doesn't. And like I notice, like there'll be moments like when I am feeling on the apathetic side, because I run through my moods, like just sometimes
We
I'm
all
just
do.
not feeling it, right? And no, when I'm feeling particularly apathetic about life, the world, everything in general, that's usually not a moment that I'm going to be like, yeah, let me do some big to-do spell, because there's that little mean voice in the back of my head that despite everything is like, because your magic's not real, fuck you. Like
Yeah.
that bullshit that happens. And I don't think I'll ever get rid of that voice. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll ever
I think it's
disappear,
human.
you
Sure.
know?
I also
But yeah,
think
no, I wouldn't.
neurodiversity makes it harder.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. But yeah, just that's the other thing too. Like because we're just kind of talking about daily practice. Like I do prefer the idea of regular practice as opposed to daily practice, because just like you were saying, Sophia, you do anything every single day, you're gonna burn out. Like you're just simply gonna burn out. I even tried to do this thing. I tried to do this thing where I was making lists, right? Like, oh, and I'll do all these things a day and check it off the list, and that wasn't working. So then I tried the reverse. I was like, I'm gonna write down everything I did in a day. Like every time I do a thing, I'm gonna write it down, and then I can look at the end of the day and be like, oh, look at all this shit I did. I didn't do that with any consistency either. So I just when it comes to doing anything on a daily fucking basis, it's just not, it's generally not going to be
Impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to help you necessarily. I do recommend things like eating every day, sleeping every day, things like that. I do recommend them.
Those are
will help you.
Will they though?
Yeah.
It's been said.
Yeah, they will.
My sleep has been absolute crap, and I have not felt particularly spiritual.
Right, like when you're tired as fuck, you're like, okay, spirits, I need to go to bed. Like
Yeah.
Spirit, show me the inside of my eyelids. Thank you.
Eyelids, right.
Reveal to me dreamless sleep.
How do I fall into, deep REM?
Instantly. Go.
Right. Oh, I know. Yeah.
If only.
It's funny. I still find that, I still have this sort of like ambient stress from, not to go back here, but and I don't want to make a big conversation out of it, but I still have all this ambient stress from the election that
Yeah.
I think I'm still riding a little bit.
Yeah.
My mood is much better, but my sleep gets affected really easily.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping like absolute shit since. Because I was doing really good before that. I was like going to bed at like a decent hour. I was getting up at I was waking up at like 9:30 a.m. I was like, hell yeah, we're doing good, And then now it's just like, nah. Like,
You're like, having them stress dreams or whatever.
Oh, that too. I had like one of those like really bad anxiety dreams the other night. And it was really bizarre because like I always kind of think of like anxiety dreams as like nightmares because they're terrifying for me, even though nothing inhuman happens. It's unfortunately like very human, which I think makes it even more terrifying. Like in this dream, I was supposed to be in grade school, I think, but I was with people from high school. And it's funny because all the people that were at this lunch table were people that were nice to me in high school, so it was really weird. But in this dream, I had allegedly said or done something, and I go to sit down with these people who, like, again, I recognize them in the dream very lucidly. I was like, oh, hey, I know these people from high school, and I wanted to go sit with them at this lunch table. And all of a sudden they're doing like this thing where they're like acting like I'm not there, and suddenly they're just like very cold and rude. They're like, well, we weren't talking to you, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just very like chilly, and
Can't sit
you're
with
like,
us.
what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And and then suddenly like they started like yelling at me and like vilifying me for something that I didn't even realize what was going on.
Mm.
And I woke up, like eventually I wake up from the stream, but I have like anxiety and like I'm like, what the fuck was that, you know? But yeah, when I have like stress, mental health dream type stuff.
Yeah, that's like a lot of my dreams. They've just been very real. Like some are stressful, some are not, but they're just very real. Like I'm just dreaming about very real things, not like fantastic at all, like nothing
Yeah.
fantasy.
I miss my my urban fantasy dreams.
Right.
I would prefer them to, my trauma dreams.
Right. Well, we got about like
My dreams are
5.
weird.
You said you were having weird dreams, Sophia?
No, my dreams are just always weird. We
Oh.
got 5 what? 5 minutes
No,
or 5 viewers?
I was saying we did have 5 viewers actually at one point. We have about 5 minutes left for recording here today. I do have to keep it like pretty much at like a tight hour. We have things to do after this.
Yeah.
So any sort of concluding thoughts? Ideas?
No.
I slept for
Don't forget to
16
kill
hours
God.
the
We're
other
gonna
night.
slay that demiurge bitch.
What'd you say, Aru?
I was like, I slept for 16 hours the other night. That's my contribution. Adios.
Wonderful. What were you saying, Sophia?
Don't forget that we're gonna kill that demiurge bitch.
I could like in our chat. Like, do you have a fleshed out plan, like idea, theory? Like that's
Yeah, it's shaping up. It's shaping up. We can
okay.
talk about it more in a little bit.
I usually operate better if I see something in black and white text, and I usually kind of go from there. But yeah, I am really curious to hear what you have planned on that front.
Well, first thing is going to be rallying all of our allies and all of the spirits, because that demiurge prick that's been pretending to be God has been pushing everything else out and like taking everything over, right? There's a lot of stuff that wants to make a comeback and get to, just exist like it used to, prior to this one thing claiming that it created all of everything, which it certainly didn't.
Yeah. Anyone else
So,
before we
we'll
get out
get
of here?
there.
We will.
Nope. No concluding thoughts from me today.
Alrighty. Well, with that, I do see Dawn in the chat here. Just like kill God with a spare. That's great.
What's up, Dawn, you little bitch?
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for words. Thank you for everyone who did tune in. It's good to be back. We're gonna keep going. Yeah, I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.